As a court, please, my lord.
Yep.
All the accused persons are before court. Before we proceed, I will make an application before this court to reopen examination in chief, just to hand in this document that was disclosed to my learned colleagues yesterday. It will be Exhibit 002. It is the complete document where Exhibit 001 was extracted from. It's for the whole month of October.
Is that the one of 29 pages or what?
That's correct, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Gomezulu, there's an application.
Court cases. Morning, Captain. Sir, I'd like to.
Well, before Mr. Mgomezi starts, I thought it was about this document.
Yeah, I also thought that. Can you launch your application again so that you...
As the court, please, my lord, yesterday, before we adjourned, we intended to introduce, in fact, we have introduced Exhibit 0001, where it's a 2-page document, and it came to light after a lunch break that it is a copy of another document that we have received, which is also not an original. It is a 29-page document, my lord, wherein Exhibit 002 was extracted from. So yesterday we discovered the entire document, which covers the month of October 2014, to my colleagues. At this stage, we intend to submit, to hand in as Exhibit 002 before this court the document which covers the period of October 2014 as a whole. This court, please.
It's not the original.
It's a copy, my lord.
Where's the original?
My lord, I've been made to understand that the original was filed somewhere else within the ballistics section, and they're still looking for the original, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Mgomezulu.
My lord, I was told that Mr. Advocate Mnisi wishes to address the court.
No, you must start. You're the first one.
My lord, in relation to the application by the state, I'm still under the impression that there's a provisional order that has been made in respect of that document. That if the original is not brought, it will be expunged from the record.
Yeah, quite. But this is a second document. You said it's 0002.
That's correct.
Not 0001.
That's correct.
So the provisional order related to 001.
That's correct.
Are you with us, Mr. Mgomezulu? I'm saying the application relates to 00002.
That's correct.
Yeah, not that one-page document.
Yes, correct.
That's the application is about 29 of those pages. Hello?
That's correct, my lord.
So what's your response, sir?
On my side, my lord.
Yes, yes.
My lord, is the same position. I have no objection if the document can be provisionally
Admitted.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Ramsipil?
Indeed, my lord, if the document is provisionally admitted pending the original being procured, my lord, as the court places.
Yes, Mr.
Same view.
Same view. Mr. Momanu?
I also share the same view.
Okay. And Ms. Mshololo?
Yes, my lord. Same view, my lord.
Okay, the document 00002 then is provisionally admitted pending the production of the original document.
Thank you, my lord.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Mr. Miss.
My lord, this is something that has got nothing to do with the proceedings per se, but it has a bearing on the proceedings themselves. This relates to the condition in which Mr. Mncube is held at Kochimampuru prison. I must be very sincere, my lord, that it is bugging me to an extent that I'm no longer able to concentrate on the business of the day, which is to conduct this trial, because this is a collateral issue. It being collateral, however, as I'm saying, there's got a direct bearing on this case itself. The court will recall that in May, Mr. Mncube, through me, of course, informed the court that he is being held in solitary confinement. And the court made an order that the prison authorities should come and explain themselves out here. And before court, Mr. Koza came, accompanied by a certain Mr. Prebengo, and there was also a legal advisor who now I've forgotten her surname. And they made an undertaking. In fact, Mr. Koza then indicated that he was not aware of the incarceration circumstances of Mr. Mncube, but now that he was made aware, he will go and investigate what is happening, and then he will come and report. Because Mr. Mncube was complaining about the fact that he has been held in solitary confinement since his arrival at Kochimampuru in 2020. And he has not been informed of a reason why he has been held in solitary confinement for 4 years. He's telling me that the procedure that has been informed of by the prison authorities for a person to be held in solitary confinement is when a person who has been sentenced and is serving in sentence re-offends in custody. As a penal provision, they might then decide to take him to a solitary confinement. But this has not been the case with him. And even so, when a person has been held, has been sentenced internally as an internal measure, a punitive measure, to go and spend some time in solitary confinement, the maximum period that such a person can spend in solitary confinement is up to 18 months. It's up to 18 months, my lord. Then the law says he should be released. But with him, he has been in solitary confinement since 2020 when he arrived at Kochimampuru prison, which is almost 4 years now. He has been consistently trying to siphon reasons, to get reason from the prison authorities about this continued indefinite detention in solitary confinement to no success. Fast forward, Mr. Koza came here and then he made an undertaking that he would go and investigate the circumstances relating to him being held in solitary confinement, and he will report back. He hasn't. I took it upon myself, my lord, to take the matter up with JICS, which is the Judicial Inspectorate for Correctional Services. I wrote a representation on behalf of Mr. Mncube and alerted them to the plight that Mr. Mncube has been subjected to. They sent out a certain gentleman by the name of Mr. Maswangayi to go and investigate the issue. However, in the course of investigation, it is procedural that they need to get a report from prison authorities. According to Mr. Mncube, Mr. Maswangayi had an interaction with Mr. Kebengo, the gentleman who accompanied Mr. Koza here. According to Mr. Mncube, the report that he gets from Mr. Maswangayi, because Mr. Maswangayi firstly consulted with Mr. Mncube to get the background of his complaint. And then Mr. Maswangayi then approached Mr. Kebengo. But Mr. Maswangayi, when he brought back the report to Mr. Mncube, he told him that Mr. Kebengo is avoiding him and he does not want to talk about the circumstances and condition of his incarceration at Kochimampuru prison. They are therefore unable to process his representation. Now we are at a position, in fact, in early August, I think Mr. Baloyi sent me a WhatsApp that came from Mr. Kininda, trying to explain the circumstances of what could be happening. I'm not so sure whether I need to read on record, but part of what he's saying, he says there were some issues of security concerns around Mr. Mnube, and it was at the same time accused number 2 had requested to be accompanied to a bank and stuff like that. So he's saying he does not know what is it that they are planning. Well, whether that is a case or what, it is neither here nor there, because all that I know is that Mr. Mnube is serving a sentence at Hoshimampuru prison, my lord. And he's under the custody, is under the guardianship of the prison authorities. I cannot fathom any reason why should Kininda, being a member of the South African Police Services, which is SAPS, would then have to go and interfere with the procedural, the processes and protocols of how inmates should be kept at correctional services. But fast forward, my lord, we are now at a position where I find it very difficult to get instructions from Mr. Mnube. It has been almost 4 years that has been held in solitary confinement. The system is systematically lynching him. This is a lynch. Each time he's supposed to get an answer of the reason why he's been held in such a solitary confinement for such a long time, they're ducking and diving. That is a Stalingrad approach. They know that Mr. Mnube has got no money. He cannot afford to fight his legal battles elsewhere. He cannot afford to have an attorney to bring up a substantive application to challenge this gruesome conduct by members of the correctional services. They know very well that he does not have that, and they are exploiting that very same situation. And the only recourse that Mr. Mnube has, it is this court. If this court is serious about upholding the rule of law, I'm going to urge this court to get into the dynamics and find out what is actually happening with Mr. Mnube. Because at the end of it all, this has got negative effect on what is termed a fair trial on Mr. Mnube. Now, I know the court that is going to tell me that no, but I cannot interfere, and that will not be true, my lord, because section 173 of the Constitution reads as follows, and I'm going to read it to the court. Section 173, my lord, of the Constitution says, the bold letters, the topic is inherent power. The Constitutional Court, the Supreme Court of Appeal, and the High Court of South Africa, each has the inherent power to protect and regulate their own processes and to develop the common law, taking into account the interest of justice. Now, the question that we basically need to ask ourselves is it really in the interest of justice, where a person is facing such a massive trial, with such massive allegations against him, to be further subjected to this kind of a lynching? It surely can't be in the interest of justice, because they know that being held in a solitary confinement has got a damaging effect on your psychology. It psychologically defeats you. It psychologically drains you. It psychologically renders you vulnerable. At the end of it all, you're supposed to follow the trial, what is happening. You're supposed to formulate your defenses. In the circumstances in which Mr. Mnube is being held, my lord, it does not have that advantage because they are psychologically draining him. This is a systematic lynching on the psychology that Mr. Mnube should be applying in the defense of his case. And that also affects me, my lord, because each time I consult with him, he brings up this, he brings it up to me. So I have to fight two fronts. Number one, I have to concentrate on this trial, on the merit of this case, and number two, I have to try and sort out what is supposed to be attended to by members of the correctional services, my lord. I am therefore going to implore this court, and very sincerely, that the court should once again consider to call those members who were here in June to come and explain themselves out. Failure which, my lord, I will be left with no option. But that as we resume, because today is the last day, as we resume on the next semester, I'm going to take a week or two from the court's time to try and attend to Mr. Mnube's plight. Because in bringing a substantive application, I'll have to go and get an attorney who will be prepared to do this matter on behalf of Mr. Mnube pro bono. I'll have to go and sit in the office and draft papers on an agent basis to challenge the decision or to challenge the DCS to give us in fact, to bring an application to compel them to give their decision. Then thereafter, having had received their decision or their reasons why they're constantly holding him in custody, in solitary confinement, and then to bring an agent application in that regard. I will not be able, my lord. I need to be very sincere. I will not be able to do that whilst at the same time I have to proceed with this case. Otherwise, something must be done and be done very urgently. But as I've said, this court has got an inherent power to investigate, not really to say this is what DCS should do, but at least to get to the bottom of this.
Okay.
Thank you, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Balawi, are you responding?
As a court please, my lord, we confirm what Advocate Nisi has said insofar as what he has communicated regarding the involvement of Brigadier Gininda. Brigadier Gininda did take the matter up with Mr. Tebengu, the head of prison. That was in early August, my lord, and Brigadier Gininda then sent the following message on the 12th of August. This is the message that Advocate Munisi has referred to, and we'll just briefly put it on record. He said he spoke to Mr. Tebengu, the head of CMEX prison. He maintains that there are security issues around accused number 3. He says his application was disapproved due to such security issues, but Advocate Nisi says they haven't received feedback on the application that was relaunched, but this is what Brigadier Gininda could establish that.
Where is a copy of the letter stating such refusal, if any?
Yes. We haven't been.
We don't have it.
Yeah, we haven't. We were not finished with the letter, and he mentions in this message that Mr. Tebengu says he cannot take the matter further than that.
Is it?
Because of these security issues. And this is where the matter is, my lord. And in the message, Brigadier Gininda indicates that the only way of addressing the issue is if Advocate Nisi brings a separate application in another court so that all these issues can be ventilated. Advocate Nisi did, in his address this morning, point to the fact that accused number 3 is impecunious and that he will not be in the position to fund such an application. We are therefore, my lord, at a dead end. Our suggestion will be once again that Mr. Tebengu will be summoned to court to come and explain these issues himself, and we can then take it from there, my lord. As far as Section 173 is concerned, we don't think of the Constitution. We don't think that is applicable here. it merely refers to the development of common law,
Okay.
and that the issues that have been raised don't really fall under Section 173 of the Constitution.
Okay, I heard you. You know what? Judge Cameron, although he's a friend of mine, I don't want to use that. We were together years and years in Johannesburg. He's now occupying that position. What is it? What is
I think he's like the head of prisons. So yes. So the inspecting
The
judge. Sorry, the
inspectorate,
inspecting judge.
yeah, of prisons.
Inspectorate, yes.
Yeah, the other day I was in the party which was delegated by the JP to read some of the provisions in the Constitution. Sorry, not the Constitution, in the Criminal Procedure Act. Apparently Section 71 of 76, 77, 78, according to my brother Cameron, they make it possible in the exercise of those sections for prisoners, so-called prisoners, to be inhumanly treated. That's how he put it. The other day he was on TV saying that. Me, what I can do, I can phone him and invite him to this court. That's the best I can do. And then Mr. Nisi and others who are so inclined can present your client's complaints to him, and he has to determine whether in fact they comply with the law. Mr. Nisi says they don't comply with the law. That I can do. Instead of wasting time and bringing applications, let's go to the person at the top who is seized with it. Unless he says, look, I can't do you that favor, Rata, fine. But I could give him a ring and say he must come here.
That's another position.
I'm just in as much as the state is actually not a party to this, but the state is wrong in saying that Section 173 is not applicable. Section 173 says about the court regulating its own processes. It does not only speak about the common law. But nonetheless, my lord, I think what the court is suggesting under the circumstances, even if Judge Cameron, the Honorable Judge Cameron himself is unable to come here, I think they work as a group there. There at JICS. You might delegate maybe somebody very neutral to come and attend to this issue, probably to then have to come to
No, but fellows told me that the other guys say they don't want to be involved. You must bring an application because they can't take this matter any further.
No, but that's the thing, my lord. That is the thing. This is coming from Mr. Kininda. Who is Mr. Kininda within the context of DCS, Department of Correctional Services? Because it's just the police. He cannot prescribe to the DCS on what processes are they supposed to be following.
Yeah, fine. I'm offering to speak.
This is a further perpetuation of what I'm referring to as a lynching.
I'm offering to speak to the head of
Yes,
the
my lord.
inspectorate of all the prisons in South Africa,
Yes.
and then give him these facts. And I'm inviting him to come here. I don't know. He's in Cape Town. I know he stays in Cape Town. If it's possible to spare a weekend, he must come here.
That will be appreciated, my lord. But quickly, just a word with accused number 3, because this is a note that
Yeah,
is sent
fine.
me. Yes.
What do you think, Mr. Balui?
Yeah, well, we do.
Who's the judge next door, by the way? Miss
Support
Judge
that
Mashudu,
approach.
The lady,
Mjelele. GC.
yeah, the one.
Mjelele.
Yeah, we can even call it. We were sitting, myself, Jalele, Masopa, and Fori. We were handling something similar to this, to say that we actually suggested that the Criminal Procedure Act must be amended so that if a person comes to court and a judge makes an order that he should be treated at any mental hospital in South Africa to determine whether this person is mentally in a state to understand the proceedings, or if he is declared to be a mental patient, president's patient, that after 30 days of such an order, he must be brought back to the judge who originally issued that order, so that the judge can inspect the file, which contains the examination or the treatment which was accorded to this detainee, who is declared to be a state president's patient, and to see when will he be okay to undergo further treatment. Because according to Judge Cameron, there are some people who are incarcerated for years without any comeback from some of the psychiatrists who are treating them. Quoted a case of about a year or two of a person who just sitting in jail. So he ceased with this type of stories.
But regarding that aspect, my lord, normally what happens is that the head of such a mental institution would periodically furnish the director of public prosecutions, who is the curator ad litem, with reports, and if based on the response of the patients to treatment, if that patient should be reclassified, the head of the mental institution will then bring or request the director of public prosecutions to bring an application before a judge in chambers for the patient to be reclassified.
Yeah, I've done those
or be conditionally released.
Yeah, I've done those applications for years and years and years, where there is a reclassification, whether this person is improving.
Yes.
Because if he is declared to be not compus mentis, then he can't be charged.
Yes.
But
so, yeah. So there is a recourse
that's it.
For such.
But then they say the department doesn't do anything about it. Nobody cares. So these persons, they just sit and sit and sit and sit. So Judge Cameron is busy with some of those cases, and he says, in his view, some of those cases are not being expeditiously handled, and consequently there is some inhumanity which creeps in the treatment of the inmates who are declared to be having mental problems.
Yes, but in this division, that doesn't obtain, because, as I say, we do from time to time receive requests for the reclassification.
So, in any case, you'll have to be patient, because now it's the last day of this. I can only speak to the judge today or tomorrow and ever, and then I can report back, but you guys are not going to be sitting. Have you agreed? You're not sitting?
Yes.
Yes, I was told by my colleagues that they prefer not to sit.
2 weeks. Is it how many weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks. We resume on the 7th of October.
So me, I can report on the 7th of October.
There's a further instruction, I'm getting from Mr. Meyiwa when I consulted him, that once again, Mr. Klemengu told him that apparently there's a letter which he has not been shown, to the effect that the import of that letter, to the effect that he needs to complete this trial because it's a high-profile case, whilst he's sitting in a solitary confinement.
Where's the letter? I don't have the letters.
That is the thing, my lord. That is the thing, because we've been requesting the reasons why he's been held in solitary confinement.
No, fine. I understand.
They don't do that.
Okay, so how is the way forward? What should we do? Because
Thank you, my lord.
this is the last day.
Yes, I think, my lord, what the court has suggested, I'm not even so sure whether Judge Cameron will be able to come here.
Yeah, I don't know.
But in any event, that he himself is unable to come personally, I think I will
delegate somebody.
Employ him to delegate somebody neutral to come and investigate all the shenanigans that are happening there at DCS in respect of accused number 3, man. because this situation cannot
Yeah,
go on
fine.
unabated. What kind of a situation is it that somebody is told you got to stay in solitary confinement up until the finalization of the case that you are involved in, because that is a high-profile case? This actually not a high-profile case. It's just like any other case where a person gets shot and killed. We're busy with evidence here. But the person is told that you'll have to stay in solitary confinement, just stay there and be subjected to this torture that we want you to be subjected to up until the finalization of your case. It's very bad. It's very bad, my lord. That's
So
what
we
I
agree
can
that
say.
I should report back on the 7th of
Thank you.
October. Okay, fine.
Uthi-ke Mr. Mncube umehluko kodaba lakho uzoxhumana-ke nalokho okuyena-ke ujaji ohambe ebona amajele nezimo ukuthi iboshwa ihlala kanjani. Uma sesiphinde sibuya-ke ngazo i-7 lezo ila manje esezobuya khona-ke nombiko ukuthi-ke bakhulume bamakuphi-ke yena nalo nojaji lowo ujaji Cameron.
Okay. Yes, you're still under oath, Captain.
Thank you, my lord.
Yes, Mr.
Firstly, I would like us to go to Exhibit 02. I think it's page 14, where the extract of 0001 was taken from. So the date of the 27th of October 2014, this is the logbook. Of the vehicle that conveyed you to Phosphorus to the crime scene, correct?
That is correct, ma'am. Kuyiqiniso ukuthi lena-ke ilobhuku-ke noma le ncwadi-ke ekuyiyona ekubhalwa kuyona-ke imoto esasihamba ngayo ukuya eFosloras.
On that transaction, who was actually the driver of this vehicle? Who was the driver of this vehicle?
The driver was Colonel Mangena. uKenel Mangena nguyena owayeshayela imoto.
And the person to whom it has been booked out, was it booked out in your name or in Colonel Mangena's name?
It is Lieutenant Colonel Mangena's name, my lord. Umuntu eyakhishelwa yena-ke imoto yakhishwa egameni lakhe uKenel Mangena.
The signature that appears on the transaction, whose signature is that?
It is Lieutenant Colonel Mangena's signature, my lord. Nomuntu wasayina uyena uLieutenant Colonel Mangena.
So in other words, Mangena is or was responsible for the movement of this motor vehicle on that day. Correct?
That is correct, my lord. Yebo umuntu wayebhekeneke nale moto noma nokuhamba kwayo-ke ngalelo langa kwakuyena uKenel Mangena.
To my surprise, Colonel Mangena has never led evidence regarding this document. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware, my lord. Uyakwazi-ke ukuthi uKenel Mangena akakaze asho lutho-ke ngale document leli angikwazi lokho.
Now I'm telling you, or I'm putting it to you that this is the first time and you're not the relevant person to bring up this evidence before this court. What is your comment on it?
My lord, I've got no comment with regard to this issue. Mayelana nalo daba-ke uthi-ke mina-ke akho lutho engingakusho mayelana nalo document, akukho engingakusho lapho.
And you have not, you did not make any affidavit and attach this document.
That is correct, my lord. Futhi asikho ne-statement esifungele affidavit la ufake khona-ke le document kuyiqiniso lokho.
I will therefore, during my argument, request that this evidence relating to this be expunged. Let me move forward. So, On the 27th of October 2014, you also attended the crime scene, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Beqiniso nge-27 ka-October 2014 nam ngaya-ke kwindawo yesigameko
In company of Makati and Mangena, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
hamba nayo Makati kanye noMangena.
Do you know who called Mangena, or your guys in the plural form? Do you know who called you to attend to the crime scene?
I do not know, my lord.
Ukuthi ubani owasibizayo ukuthi siye khona lapho angazi.
But it has never been related to you by Colonel Mangena as to who called him to the crime scene.
I can't recall if he informed us who called him, but we were informed by Lieutenant Colonel Mangena.
Khumbuleke sitshelwa-ke ngokuthi ubani owabiza-ke kodwa-ke uKolonel Mangena kodwa thina satshelwa uyena uKolonel Mangena.
All right. Upon your arrival, who did you meet at the crime scene?
My lord, I cannot recall.
Angisakhumbuleki ukuthi ubani noma wobani esabafica uma sifika khona lapho.
What were you going to do there? Seemingly, there's nothing that you can recall. What were you going to do there?
I was accompanying Lieutenant Colonel Mangena, my lord.
Mina lapho ngangiphelezela yena uLieutenant Colonel Mangena.
So you remained in the car throughout?
No, my lord, I did not remain in the car throughout.
Angizange ngisale emotweni ngaso sonke isikhathi.
Were there any people that you have met at the crime scene?
My lord, there were multiple people at the crime scene.
Babe baningi abantu ababekhona kuleyo ndawo leyo yesigameko.
But eventually, did you manage to enter the house?
That is correct, my lord. I entered the house.
Kodwa-ke kugcineni ngabe na phela nagcina yini seningena endlini? Yebo, ngangena endlini.
Was there any person leading you during the reconstruction of the crime scene?
My lord, from my memory, I can't recall, but in normal circumstances, there will be someone whom will point us where the scene is, because we will arrive there not knowing where to go, my lord.
Angisakhumbulike kodwa-ke ngokwenjwayelo-ke uba khona-ke umuntu ozosihola ahambe nathi ngoba thina-ke singazi ukuthi kwenzekani lapho asitsheleke ukuthi iyiphi indawo yesigameko.
So, in the house, what was your role? What did you do actually?
I was assisting Lieutenant Colonel Mangena, as I've stated yesterday, my lord, when he requests the handling of the measuring tape, and when he's taking those photos, and maybe the measuring stickers, whatever the assistant that he can request, my lord.
Nanjengoba bengishilo-ke izolo ukuthi kwakuwukulekelela-ke yena uKolonel Mangena uma mhlampe-ke ecela yona-ke i-tape lena yokala noma-ke lokho kubizwa ngokuthi-ke i-measuring stick lesoke sokukala uma ecela lokho kube ukumlekelela.
All right, I want to be specific and be precise on what you actively done in the house, because there were two assistants, it's you and Makati. On that day, what did you do as per the request by Colonel Mangena? Did you go to the motor vehicle to fetch the whatever that he requested you to bring? What did you do specifically?
My lord, from my head, I cannot recall say exactly I've done this, my lord.
Mina-ke milana-ke ngeke manje ngikhumbuleke noma ngikhumbuleke lokho la ekhanda kumina ukuthi yiloko engakwenza ngalelo langa.
According to the document, okay, I'm not labored it much on the document. What time you departed from Pretoria to Vosloorus?
According to this document, it says 10:15, my lord.
Ngokwalelo document-ke lithi isikhathi esaphuma ngaso noma esasuka ngaso la ePitoli ukuya eVosloorus kwakuwu-10:15.
According to your evidence yesterday, you said you arrived between 11 and 12, correct?
I estimated around those times, my lord.
Yebo, uma ngiqagela-ke ngishilo izolo ngathi-ke uma sifika khona laphayana kwakuphakathi-ke kwa-11 no-12.
What time did you leave Vosloorus?
I can't recall the time, my lord.
Angisikhumbule isikhathi esasuka ngaso eFosloras sesibuya.
Yesterday we talked about 8:10 in the evening. What is that?
8:10, my lord, is the time that is written in here.
Izolo ke ukhulume ngo-8:10. U-8:10 isikhathi ke esibhalwe la.
Is it the time for departure from Phosphorus? What is it?
My lord, I think the best person who can answer whether this was the time of departure or not is Lieutenant Colonel Mangena. But from my head, I will think this might be a standing off. But I cannot be for certain, my lord.
You say it might be?
A standing off.
Lesi sikhathi su-8:10 ke lana angeke ke umuntu ongakhuluma kahle ngaso noma ke asho ukuthi yisiphi isikhathi sasuka ngaso noma yisiphi uyena ke uKenneth Mangena mina angeke ngisho ngesiqiniseko.
Therefore, you agree with me that you are not relevant to give evidence on that document, correct?
My lord, I can't comment on that, my lord.
Lokho kusho ukuthi ke wena ke awusiyena umuntu ofanele ukuthi angakhuluma ke ngale document leli akukho engakusho lokho.
When you were at the crime scene, did you see any exhibits that were found at the crime scene?
My lord, I did not see any exhibit, my lord.
Akhona yini amazibito wabona ke wena ke usulapha kwindawo yesigameko? Cha, awekho engawabona.
Did you meet Captain Mhlahlo?
My lord, even if I can't recall clearly if who Captain Mhlahlo is, but I think there was some from CRC, but I can't recall whether it's Mhlahlo or it's who the person is.
Ukuthi umhlahlo ke angimazi kahle ukuthi ubani ke kodwa wayekhona ke umuntu noma babekhona ke abakwa CRC. So angazi noma kwakumhlahlo ke noma ubani.
More or less how many hours you spent at the crime scene on the 27th of October? More or less how many hours?
My lord, this information I cannot recall from my head.
Ukuthi ke kwakuhamahora mangakhi esaselapho ke lokho ke angeke nje ngibe ukuthi ngiyikhumbulele khona.
Let's get into the 28th of October 2014. What time did you arrive at the mortuary in Germiston? What time?
My lord, the time of arrival, I can't state yet. I just know that mostly we arrive before 8, as postmortems normally starts at 8.
Ukuthi yisiphi isikhathi safika ngaso emakhazini eGermiston nge-28 angeke ngikusho ke kodwa ke ngikwazi ukuthi sivamise ukuthi sifike nje ngaphambi ko-8 kunalapho ngoba ke uma benza ke umsebenzi lo emakhazini bawuqala ngo-8.
Were you also with Mahati or?
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo nalapho ngangisahamba naye uMahati.
So what was the involvement on the 28th? Was just to accompany Colonel Mangena?
That is correct, my lord, and give him the assistant that he will need on the day.
Kuyiqiniso ukuthi nalapho ngamphelekezela yena ke uKenneth Mangena ukuthi ke ngimlekeleleke la awayezodinga khona ke ukuthi alekelelwe ngalelo langa lelo.
So was there any form of assistance that you have offered on the 28th of October? If so, what was it?
My lord, I cannot specifically say I've done 1, 2, 3. What I can say is that I was with him during the post-mortem, my lord.
Angeke ngikusho ukuthi yilokhu nalokhu nalokhuya engakwenza kodwa nje ngasho ukuthi ngangenaye ngalelo langa lelo lapha emakhazini.
Are you friends with Colonel Mangena?
He is not my friend, my lord.
Ngabe ngabangane yini noKenneth Mangena akasiyena umngani wami?
Are you colleagues?
That is correct.
Uzakwethu.
You've got a good relationship with him. Correct?
I don't have a bad relationship with him, my lord.
Nobudlelwano obuhle, anginabudlelwano obubi naye.
My question is, do you have a good relationship with him?
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo, kuqiniso nobudlelwano ke obuhle kanye naye.
At no given stage, I don't think you can betray your colleague, correct? At no under normal circumstances, you can betray your colleague, correct?
I'm not sure of this question with regard to betrayal, my lord.
All right, we'll reserve it. I know where I'm going. So you can't comment on that one.
I think the word betrayal, my lord, I'm not sure in what circumstances, my lord.
All right, let's move on. Are you aware that there was an examination that was conducted by Colonel Mangena on the 13th of November 2014?
Can you just please repeat the date?
The 13th of November 2013, are you aware of it?
13th of November 2013.
2014.
2014.
13 November 2014.
I'm not aware, my lord.
Uyazini ukuthi khona ke ukuhlola noma ukuhlola akwenza uKenneth Mangena ngazo i-13 November 2014 cha angikwazi lokho.
Do you know that he conducted the initial test on the exhibit bullet or the specimen that was found at the crime scene? Are you not aware of that evidence?
So that he did some tests on the exhibit bullet.
Yes, that was found, allegedly found at the crime scene. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware, man.
Ingabe yazi ukuthi ke inhlamvu lena athi noma abathi noma basola ukuthi yatholakala ke indawo yesigameko iyona ke le ayibheka noma awayihlola ke cha lokho angikwazi.
It's a common practice that once an examination is done on a particular ammunition or on a particular tool, there must be a verification of the findings of the particular examiner, correct?
I'm not sure if when you're saying verification, I still on the date
To
of
verify,
the date.
okay, let me just put it this way. To verify the findings of the examiner after the examination of a particular specimen. Are you aware that there must be a procedure to verify or to review?
Of the microscope, I'm aware, my lord.
Correct.
Ngiyazi ke ukuthi ke uma ngabe umuntu ehlola ke noma khona ke izibithi asebenza ngalo ebheka yebo kufanele lokho lo msebenzi ubhekwe kusetshenziswa yona i-microscope.
And you cannot tell this court if you were not aware that Colonel Mangena examined the exhibit bullets that were allegedly found at the crime scene. So what I want to find out from you is the process of verification in the first test of the 13th of November 2014. You have no knowledge of it.
No, of the 13th of November 2014, my lord, I don't have any knowledge of that.
Anginalo ke ulwazi lalokho ke ongibuza noma ongitshela ngakho ukuthi ke wahlola ke ngazo i-13th November 2014.
And at the third instance, firstly, you went with Mangena on the 27th. Secondly, you went with Mangena on the 23rd. Now on the 22nd of July 2020, he asked you to give him an opinion. This is the third instance, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Waqala wahamba naye ke langa 27 nge-28 manje ke nge-22 wasecela ke ukuthi ucela uve kwase kuyihlandla lesithathu ke manje yebo kuyiqiniso.
Do you know when was the examination conducted in July 2020 by Colonel Mangena? Before you gave your opinion, do you know which day was it? What date?
My Lord, the date will be the one that is written in this affidavit, my Lord. I did not know that date, my Lord.
Ingabe uyazini ke njengoba yena eza kuwena ke nge22 ezocela uvo ukuthi yena ke uma esecaninga ke lamazibiti wakwenza nini lokho i-date kuzoba yilena ke elaka istatement mina i-date leyo ngangayazi.
Are you aware that Colonel Mangena went to Cleveland police station to fetch a firearm and ammunition prior to the examination? Are you aware?
I've heard that, my Lord.
Ingabe uyazi yini ukuthi uKenneth Mangena waya e-police station yase Cleveland eyolanda ispam lokho ke ngakuzwa.
Personally, as a ballistic analyst, have you done that yourself to go and collect a firearm from the police station?
Myself, my Lord, I've never done it, my Lord.
Wena ke usuke ngaphambilini wakwenza ukuthi e-police station uyolanda ispam mina ke angaze ngikwenze.
Is it procedural according to your experience and according to your know-how?
My Lord, I cannot say it's procedural or it's not procedural. I was never in the situation that Lieutenant Colonel Mangena was, my Lord.
Angeke ukuthi ngithi ke yenziwa into engenziwa noma ke ngokwendlela kwenzeka ngakhona noma cha ngoba ke mina ke angaze nibeke isimo ke lesi uKenneth Mangena awaye kusona.
That's the reason why I'm saying you cannot betray your colleague. If he did something unprocedural, you cannot justify it. Correct?
My Lord, I'm not justifying, I'm just saying I don't even know the circumstances at that time when he went to fetch the firearm, my Lord.
Ukukhulumela noma ke kumvikela ke ukuthi nje angizazi izimo ke noma ngekwenzeka kanjani ke ukuthi ke ahambe ayosilanda leso sibambi leso.
Any kind of exhibit that is taken for examination at the ballistic section, it is registered at the case administration, correct?
That is correct, my Lord.
Yebo konke okuthathwayo noma ke ukulandwa ukuthi ke kuzoyohlolwa ke kuyangithi kuyabhala lapha yana ke noma la e-police station khona kubhalwe phansi yebo kuyiqiniso.
So any exhibit that is brought in, I'll call it in a local language, via back door, is not the correct procedure, correct?
My Lord, I cannot comment on that. Hence, I've said I don't know other circumstances, my Lord. There will be circumstances that maybe they might force somebody to deviate. So I cannot comment on that, my Lord.
Kuloko kushoyo ke ukuthi ke ukuthi ke mhlawumbe phansi kwezinye izimo ke ukuthi into ikhishwe ke ngeback door akukho engakusho lo kulapho ngoba ngishilo ukuthi ke angazi ukuthi kwenzeka ngaphansi kweziphi izimo mhlambe okwabangela noma okwangabangela kwenze ukuthi umuntu ke aphume eceleni.
Do you know if this firearm or these ammunitions or all these exhibits were taken back to Cleveland? Did it ever came to your mind?
I do not know, my Lord.
Ngabe uyazi yini ukuthi konke lokho onke lamazibiti abuyela eCleveland angikwazi lokho.
So there's something that strikes my mind according to your collection of what you have done in relation to microscopic examination. You are better able to tell the court what you have done, especially comparing the exhibit bullets and the test bullets, correct?
That is correct, my Lord.
Ngokukhumbula kwakhe ke uyakhumbula owakwenza ususebenzisa ke i-microscope uqhathanisa ke inhlamvu lena kanye futhi nezinhlamvu lezi ezayitestiwe yebo kuyiqiniso.
All right. You said yesterday in your evidence you can't recall or you cannot tell this court that Colonel Mangena approached other colleagues for the opinion. But what I know is that Captain Felion and yourself, together with Fesser, also gave opinion to the works or the findings of Colonel Mangena, correct?
My Lord, I've never mentioned the same name Fesser, my Lord.
Engikwaziyo ke ukuthi ushilo wena ke izolo ukuthi akwazi ukuthi uKenel Mangena waya yini kwabanye ozakwenu eyocela uvo, kodwa ke ngikwaziyo ukuthi ke wena ke uCaptain Mafelud noFeser nabo ke bamnikeza uvo. Mina ke angikazi nje isibongo esithi Feser engikhulume ngaso noma ngisisho.
For your information, this is what the state told the defense as well as the court. Do you know Feser?
If Fesser Malot they're referring to the one that he worked in ballistics, then I will say I know him. He was a lieutenant colonel in ballistics section. That's the one that I know, Malot.
Uma ngabe ukhuluma ke ngoFeser owayesebenza ke kona ke ama ballistics wayekade lieutenant colonel ngiyamazi uma kuukuthi ukhuluma ngaloyo.
Do you know if he gave opinion also on the findings of Colonel Mangena?
I just recently heard, Malot.
Ingabe uyazini ukuthi naye ke wanikeza ngovo kuKenel Mangena ngiqeda ke into nje engisanda ukuyizwa leyo.
So was it the same day you gave the same opinion to Colonel Mangena? Was it on the 22nd of July 2020?
I'm not sure, Malot. I don't know when did Colonel Mangena went to Colonel Fesser, Malot.
Angazi ke ukuthi ngoluphi usuku angimazi ukuthi uKenel Mangena waya nini kuyena uKenel Fesser.
So now we are giving opinion. Is it your evidence that we're given a case file in order for you to give opinion?
He took out he gave me the exhibits that he took from the case file, Malot.
Wanginika amazibiti la awakhipha ke kuyona case file.
What happened thereafter? He gave you the note. You stopped your work. Then what happened thereafter?
Then I've checked the tests and the exhibit on the comparison microscope, Malot.
Ngase ngibheka ke ama test kanye futhi ke nalo ke exhibit kuyona ke microscope le oyisebenzisa uqhathanisa.
How long did it take you?
Malot, I cannot recall the time, Malot.
Angisasikhumbuli isikhathi ukuthi kwangithatha isikhathi esingakanani.
It was a single, we're talking TB3 to TB10. And according to the experience that you have, you should actually at least give a hint to the court or maybe estimate hours that you've spent when you were conducting that microscopic.
No, Malot, I can't do that from my head, Malot.
Ukuthi ke ngenzwe ukuthi angikwenzeke ukuthi ngiqageleke angikwazi ukuthi nje ngayikhumbuleka lokho.
How will the court know that how much you spent for you to give a precise and a thorough opinion on the works of Colonel Mangena?
Malot, I cannot comment on this one, Malot.
Kulokho ke ukuthi ke inkantolo izokwazi kanjani ukuthi ngathatha isikhathi esingakanani akukho engakusho lapho.
Was it in the morning?
Malot, I cannot recall whether it was in the morning because I did not document anything, Malot.
Ngoba ke ngazange ngibhale lutho phansi angisakhumbuleki noma kwakusekuseni.
You see the dangers of not recording the works that you are supposed to do and the works that you need to bring to this court. You see the dangers that you are doing because you're doing things behind closed doors. I don't even want to tell the court what time, at least to estimate. In the morning after your breakfast or after lunch, during the course of the
My Lord
day.
will object at this stage. The witness has already answered the question that he did not document anything and there's no requirement to document an opinion.
My Lord, we are dealing with the issue of reliability here. Because I've made submissions that the court cannot rely on this witness. There's nothing improper that this witness is bringing to this court which is of sound mind. Because he can't recall anything. He can't even recall that he was at work. Do you recall that you were at work on that day?
My Lord, I will object as well. I don't know what Mr. Gomez is suggesting now, that it's of sound mind. Is he not insulting the witness now? And it's clear from his evidence that he was at work. He did whatever that he did during the scope of his employment at work. So I don't know why he's being asked this question.
Sometimes my colleagues can just object with no substance. let's just move on. You can't tell the court whether you did that in the morning, because my concern is that there were 3 people that attended or gave opinion on that particular day. There were 3 people. I want to ascertain whether you did that in the morning and June did it in the day and Fester in the afternoon. So you can't even assist this court when did you do that. I'm not just doing cross-examining for the sake of cross-examining. We need your role that you played on the 22nd of July 2020.
My lord, the role that I played on that day was to give a microscopic opinion, and I did not know that other people gave an opinion as well. I did not know that information.
Mina ke okwami ngalela langa lange-22 kwakuthi nginikezeke ngovo ngisebenzisa yona i-microscope, ngangingazi ke ukuthi ngabanye noma abanye ozakwethu nabo banikeza ngovo.
So were you aware that at one stage or at any given date you will be asked to come in and testify in court? Were you aware of that?
Of this matter, my lord, I was not aware.
Ingabe kwakuyinto oyazini ukuthi ke ngelinye ilanga kuzolindeleka ukuthi uze enkantolo uzokuthi ubufakazi mayelana nale cala ngangingakwazi lokho.
But in some other cases, when you gave opinion, are you normally called to court and testify?
I've never been called to come and testify for giving an opinion, my lord.
Kodwa ke kwamanye amacala uma unikeza ke ngovo usuke wabizwa yini ukuthi uze enkantolo uzokuthi ubufakazi? Angikaze ngaphambilini ngiye enkantolo ngokungenxa yokuthi nganikeza ngovo.
This is your first time.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo, na ukuqala manje.
So you didn't even know, or it's unprocedural, that you should bring a court chart to confirm what you found.
My lord, hence I said I did not document anything. I was just giving an opinion. It was just an informal opinion.
Bese ngishilo ke ukuthi ke angibhazanga ngibhala lutho phansi ngoba okwami kwakuthi nje nikeze ngovo, akukho ngabhala phansi.
I want to be frank to you, Captain Dean. This question is this: have you ever gave opinion other than this case on the findings of Colonel Mangena?
I've given opinion before, that is correct.
Ingabe ngaphandle kwaleli icala khona la oseke wanikeza ngovo khona ke kuyena uKenneth Mangena? Yebo.
Have you actually gave opinion different from what were the findings of Colonel Mangena?
Even if I can't recall specific, I think I've done that before.
Usuke wanikeza ngovo oluhlukile yini lokho akuthola noma ke ngingasakhumbuli kodwa ngicabanga ukuthi ngake ngakwenza lokho ngaphambili?
How did you do that without documenting anything? How reliable is that evidence?
A lot. The thing is, when we are giving an opinion, it's an informal thing that you don't write. Only the verifier is the one who is completing the pro forma of verifying for that particular examen. With an opinion, my lord, I'm giving an opinion and then we don't document, my lord.
Lana ke uma unikeza ngovo ukuthi ke awubhali utho phansi ulowo ke ozoqinisekisa umsebenzi loyo abese yasayinda ke kodwa uma unikeza ngovo akukho kubhala phansi.
What actually comes first before verification and giving opinion? What should the examiner do first? Is to take his findings to the verifier, or is to give or to sort an opinion? Which one comes first?
My lord, I'll say you request for opinions, and then once the verification is done, which means that is the end there.
Iphi-ke ezaqala-ke ukuthi umuntu ahambe kumsebenzi wakhe uyoqinisekiswa noma ke ucela uvo abantu ukuthi ke ucela ke uvo ngoba uma seqinisekisiwe sekusayindiwe-ke lokho-ke ekugcina lokho.
So the verification is the last stage.
Once verification is done, my lord, and signed, then that is the last stage because there is no any other signing that comes after the perform of verification.
Uma sekubhekiwe-ke umsebenzi waqinisekiswa-ke noma lokho kubizwa ngokuthi phecelezi uverifya uyasayinda-ke akukho okunye-ke okuzophinda ekulandela lokho noma la kuzophinde kusayindwe khona.
So from the bullets that were given TB3 to TB10, you also gave opinion on what was found from those bullets.
That is correct, my lord.
Kulamabhulethi owanikwa noma iy'nhlamvu-ke u-TB3 to TB10 wanikeza-ke ngovo kuloko okwatholakala kuwona yebo.
According to you, all these bullets gave or they have a sufficient agreement, according to you.
My lord, what I know is that I found an ID on the test bullet and the test on the test bullet and the exhibit that was given to me, my lord.
Engikwaziyo ukuthi-ke ngathola lokho sekubiza ngokuthi phecelezi-ke i-ID kwinhlamvu-ke lena izona eyi-test noma-ke eyathestwa-ke kanye nenhlamvu le eyatholakala-ke kwindawo yesigameko exhibit.
Were there any specific test bullets that you used to compare to the exhibit bullets?
My lord, as I've stated yesterday, that I've checked the tests. After checking the test to determine the atlas characteristics, that is very much important, my lord, to make sure that there is no test that does not belong there. Then from there, then I've picked a test and mounted on the microscope, and then I've also put the bullet on the microscope, and then checked the group that have the marks, and check also on the test. That is what I can say, my lord. But as to the specific bullet, my lord, I cannot say.
Engakwenza ukuthi-ke ngithathe-ke lawo ma-test ngiwabheke-ke ukwenza-ke isiqiniseko sokuthi ayikho-ke i-test kulawo ma-test lapho ekwakungafanele ukuthi-ke ibe lapho. Ngase manje ngidlulela-ke kuyona-ke inhlamvu-ke le eyatholakala-ke ekuyi-exhibit ngibheke yona-ke ukuthi futhi-ke ngitholani-ke kuyona mase ngiqhathanisa.
Amongst all these bullets that were given, which bullets were the FMJs?
My lord, I cannot recall from my head, which means I have to consult the case file, my lord.
Ukuthi-ke ngisho ukuthi kwakuyiziphi-ke iy'nhlamvu ekwakulezi SMJ lokho angeke-ke ngiyikhumbulele kuzofanele ngiyobheka-ke i-case file.
Can you recall how many FMJs were there? FMJ.
No, I can't recall, my lord.
Angisakhumbuli ukuthi kwakuna-FMJ amangaki.
Even the CMJs, you can't recall.
I can't recall, my lord.
Nama-CMJ angikhumbuli.
So the TB1 and TB2, were they CMJs or FMJs?
The TB1 and TB2 I haven't seen, my lord.
TB1 and TB2 angaze ngizibone.
Thank you, my lord. I have no further questions.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Ramsey.
Thank you, my lord. My lord, due to the belated start, I'm not sure whether should I proceed or my colleagues want a comfort break, my lord.
What's the time then, Mr.
11:27.
Okay, 15 minutes.
Yes, the court is Listen, before we come to the nitty-gritties of why you are here, I want to start first by referring you to your affidavit, Exhibit 000, and then just want to go through with you on your curriculum vitae. Now, your testimony is that you joined the FSL Holistic Section in 2005, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Kuyiqiniso ngishilo ukuthi ke ngijoyine ke la FSL ngo 2005.
And then you've mentioned your other academic qualifications of which I've got no interest. To date, you are roughly 19 years within the ballistic section, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Njengamanje ke iminyaka ewu19 ngisebenza kuona ke ama ballistics.
At 2.1.5 of your affidavit, you state, and I quote, I visited the following firearm and ammunition manufacturers to ascertain the processes that are used in the manufacturing of firearms and ammunition. 2.1.51 Pretoria Metal Pressings, PMP. What do they do?
They manufacture ammunition, my lord.
Le indawo ke ifundile ke Pretoria Metal Pressings uSomchem ka indawo lezo ezenza inhlamvu.
And ammunition, do they, amongst others, manufacture also 9mm parabellum, 9x9mm parabellum, and 9mm Luger ammunition?
That is correct, my lord.
Na lawa ke lezo ishili inhlamvu 9mm 9x9mm iLuger nazo bayazenza.
Now, briefly, your excursion there, what did you observe? Just in brief, we not at PMP.
My lord, what we've seen there is how they put the ammunition components together and the testing afterwards, my lord.
Esakubona ke laphana ukuthi ke indlela ke bahlanganisa ngayo ke inhlamvu kanye futhi ke nokutesta ke kamuva.
And were you also at that institution or factory or taught that some items, be it firearms, firearm components, or ammunition that are consecutively manufactured will have later on same marks or striations upon firing? Were you also taught that?
My lord, at PMP they do ammunition. I don't know if they do firearms, my lord.
Oh, okay.
PMP benza ke inhlamvu angazi ukuthi bazenza yini ibhamu.
At 2.1.52 of your affidavit, you also visited Somchem in Cape Town. What do they do?
They also manufacture ammunition, my lord.
Nase Somchem ke Cape Town nabo benza inhlamvu.
And by ammunition, we mean your pistol, revolver, ammunition, hunting rifles, and the like.
That is ammunition, my lord.
Inhlamvu ke lezo ama pistol, ama 9mm kanye futhi ke nebhamu enkulu ke ama rifle.
And they don't manufacture firearms at Somchem?
Not to my knowledge, my lord.
Okay.
Ngolwazi lwami ke angazi bezenza ibhamu khona ke eSomchem.
And NGA, New Generation Arm, what do they do?
It's ammunition, my lord, as well.
Na se NGA New Generation Arm na lapho ke inhlamvu.
And I see in your CV, because your career at the time was still in its infancy stage, have you visited manufacturers of ammunition, firearms outside the Republic of South Africa?
No, my lord, I've never visited the ones outside South Africa, my lord.
Angaze ngiyeke kwindawo ke ezingaphandle kwala eNingizimu Afrika ezenza inhlamvu nebhamu.
And at 2.3 of your affidavit, you state that I've attended the following internal and external training interventions. I'm more concerned about the external training interventions. Where did you attend those? What do they entail?
My Lord, 2.1.6.1 to 2.1.6.4, my Lord. Those were provided by an external provider, my Lord.
Uma ubheka ke ngoba umele uthi ke la u2.3 ila ushoyo ke khona ukuthi uqeqeshiwe ke ngaphakathi nangaphandle ke ngifuna ukwazi ke lezi ezangaphandle ke maphendula ke uthi uma ubheka ke kuyena ke u2.1.6.1 kuyogcina ke kuyena 2.1.6.4 ilezo ke ezichazayo ukuthi ila engaqeqeshwa khona ngaphandle kwasesiphoyiseni.
Yes, that external service provider, who is that, and when did you attend those interventions that you call them?
My Lord, the ones that I've mentioned, I've attended them between 2012 and 2013. And the external provider was Bevel, Gardner and Associates.
Ilezi enkhuluma ngazo ke phakathi kwa2012 no2013 futhi ke sayinikezwa noma zazenziwa yena ke Bevel, Gardner and Associates.
And did you go to Bevel Gardner in the United States, or did they send trainees and workshop presenters here?
No, they've sent them here, my Lord.
Ingaba wena waya ke eAmerica noma ke bona ke bathumela abantu la babethumele abantu khona la.
And then at 2.4 of your affidavit, you state that you were declared competent and proficient in the forensic ballistic examination. And I believe yesterday you said this was in 2009. Is that correct?
That is correct, my Lord.
Kwakungo 2009 ke manje sengiqedile ukwenza konke ke lokhu la sure ke khona ukuthi manje sengikulungeleke ukuthi umsebenzi lowo wokuhlola ke wona ama forensic ballistics ngawenza.
Now, by being declared competent and proficient, the word proficiency, do you take any proficiency tests before you are declared to be now a forensic ballistic examiner?
I took a competency, my Lord. Then after a competency, when I am declared competent, then I will do the proficiency.
Lama testing ke ukuvinywa ke lokhu ngakwenza ke ukuthola ke ukuthi sengisimo yini noma ke ngiyakwazi yini ukuthi manje umsebenzi lo ngingawenza lawo ma test lawo ngawenza.
And proficiency test, my Lord, is an ongoing thing. I do proficiency testing annually, my Lord.
Futhi ke lento ke into engiyenza ke unyaka nonyaka into eqhubekayo ukuthi ke ngibhekwe ke ukuthi ngise sona ke isimo yini sokuthi umsebenzi ngawenza.
Yes, you correctly separated them out to say you took first the competency part of the evaluation. What does that entail, the competency one first?
Competency, my Lord, in a simple term is just you are ready to work independently for that particular training level, my Lord.
Lena yokuqala ke ila ethi njena ke ubisimo ke sokuthi ungakwazi ukwenza ke umsebenzi uyimele kulo umsebenzi lowo.
But does that entail a written test, an oral test, a field coursework test, a practical test? What does that entail?
Correct, my Lord. I've written tests, I've written assignments, my Lord.
Lokho ke kunama test kunama assignment ke engawenza ke.
And then the annual proficiency test, who's the service provider that is procured to conduct those proficiency tests on behalf of the ballistic section of FSL?
We do proficiency test, my Lord, internally. We also we are also involved in something that we call CTS, my Lord. That is the one that is just from outside, my Lord.
Lama ubhekwa ke ukuthi ke ukulungeleka ukwenza umsebenzi unyaka nonyaka ke lokho into eyenziwa ngaphakathi ke bese khona ke esikubiza ngokuthi ke iCTS yona ke eyenziwa ngaphandle.
Internally, who evaluates, say for example yourself, when you do the proficiency test?
It's our quality office, my Lord.
ihhovisi lethu ke elibizwa ngokuthi ke equality office iyona ke ibona ke ngaphakathi ababheka ke noma abasenzisa lawo ma test lawo.
Comprised of who? That quality office comprised of who? Who are the persons that are in that quality office?
In most cases, the proficiency test, my lord, will get them from Lieutenant Colonel Ntongana.
Sene?
Ntongana.
Umuntu ke ovamise ukuthi ke asenzise lawo ma test uLieutenant Colonel Ntongana.
And then who is CTS that provides the external arm of the proficiency test?
It also comes from her office. They are the ones that are communicating with those service providers, my lord.
Nalaba bangaphandle ke CTS nale ibuya ke ihhovisi lakhe ke yena ke uNtongana ibona ke abakhuluma nalabo bantu.
And that acronym CTS, what does it stand for?
Collaborative Testing System, my lord.
Collaborative Testing System, CTS umele lokho.
Now you are declared competent and proficient in 2009, having joined in 2005, right?
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo mina ke ngene ngo2005 kwase ukuthi ke ngo2009 ilakushiwa khona ke ukuthi ke umsebenzi ngilungeleke ukuthi ngingawenza.
Does that mean then from 2005 until your certification you were doing work under the supervision of a qualified examiner?
My lord, at my workplace, we've got different levels, my lord. You get training on a certain level, and then you get certified. Then when you go to the other one, the certification goes down. It covers the ones that are on top, my lord.
Thina ke la esebenza khona ke ukuthi ke kuna mazinga ke noma ama levels oqeqesho noma ke training uthola ke i-training ila bese bekunika khona ke certificate noma bekucertify khona ke uma usuhla ke manje sebecertify futhi ke kuhlanganisa nala angaphezulu.
How long is your initial training period as you enter the forensic sciences laboratory ballistic section?
It took me 4 years, my lord.
Uqeqesho mina kwangithatha ke iminyaka emine.
Let me see my CV. Yeah, we are now done with your CV. You've testified and you've been cross-examined by my learned colleague, Mr. Gomezu, that you attended the scene on the 27th of October 2014, and by the scene I'm referring to 13511 Buchanan Street, Muzama section, Fosluras in Springview, together with Captain McCarthy, and by then I think it was still Captain Mangena, now Lieutenant Colonel Mangena, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Kuyiqiniso 27 October 2014 saya khona ke at 13511 Buchanan Street, Muzama section Fosluras. Ngihamba naye kwaku captain noma mangena ngaleso sikhathi manje seku lieutenant colonel kanye naye uMahati.
At that time, what was your rank in 2014 October 27?
I was a warrant officer, my lord.
Ngaleso sikhathi leso ke ngangingu warrant officer mina.
And by policy and standing orders, warrant officers, whenever they leave for a scene, be it at FSL, LCRC, CRC, they are obliged to have a pocketbook with them detailing their movement, their role on a particular matter that they are attending, correct?
At my office, my lord, we are using diaries, my lord.
Okay.
At that time I was using a diary.
Ngaleso sikhathi ke noma ke umeli uthi ke uma warrant officer bakulindeleke ukuthi uma ehamba ke aphatheke lokubizwa ngokuthi phecelezi ke pocket book. Obviously lethu thina ke sisebenzisa ama diary.
Were you using a diary in October 2014 at the time of your visit to the scene on the 27th?
My lord, I cannot recall, but what I know is that when I go to the crime scenes, normally I don't go with the diary. Because if it is my scene, there are documents that I will complete, my lord.
ngabe wawuyiphethe yini ke isayela ngalelo langa lelo angikhumbulike kodwa mina ngokwenjwayelo ke uma ngiya ke kwindawo zesigameko mina ke angihambi nayo idayari ngoba ke akhona ke ama documents ekufanele ngiwagcwalise.
You see, the reason I'm asking you this is that and it's immaterial to me whether it was your sin or not. You were out working on the day, you were paid on the day. These forms that you've submitted here, the motor logbook, that's a copy. I know this was for claiming overtime. So you were working on the day. You must account that you were working, and therefore there should be a documentation that shows I was out with Colonel Mangena, we went to a scene, but it's not important, that aspect. The important aspect is this. Under cross-examination from my learned colleague, you are blank as to what you did on that day at 27 at Muzama section, Fosloras at the scene.
My Lord, it's in 2014. Today is 2024. Some of the things I won't recall from my head, and I think it's human not to recall some of the things because it was not my. If it was my case, my Lord, if I was the examiner of the crime scene, then I will be having my own notes and everything and the statement, my Lord.
Kwaku 2014 manje ke siku 2024 futhi ke into ke leyo eyenzekayo ukuthi angeke ke ngikhumbule zonke izinto. Uma kuwukuthi kwakuyisini yami ke leyo ngangizoba nayo ke la ngizobhala khona ama notes futhi ngenze ne statement.
I'm not going to belabor this point, but my point is this. Throughout this case, I've seen this tendency and this behavior. Police officers come and testify here. You ask for a pocketbook, a diary. One has grown legs, one it was not my scene, so I did not need to fill in. But I'm not going to belabor it. I'm going to argue it at the end of this case. Now, except for what Mr. Ngomezulu asked you, the assistance that you provided to Colonel Mangena on the 27th of October, you cannot add anything more because your memory has become foggy because it's been a while. It's been many years, correct? You cannot add anything to say I was fetching a measuring tape, perhaps I was doing this. You cannot say exactly what you did.
I cannot be specific, my Lord.
Angeke ngisho ukuthi yilokho engakwenza ngalelo langa lelo.
Now, there's what's called, when you arrive at the scene, the walking through of the scene by either an SAPS member who was securing the scene or a senior officer that is in charge of that scene to take either LCRC, ballistics, or criminal record center through the scene. Do you remember a Captain Bentley that received you, Captain Mangena, and Captain Makati on the 27th of October 2014?
My Lord, as I've alluded that I accompanied Colonel Mangena. So me and Captain Makati, we were following Colonel Mangena. He's the one who knows who contacted him and who is the crime scene manager or whoever who's taking through the scene, my Lord.
Na njengoba ngishilo ukuthi mina kanye nayo Captain Makati sasikhapha simasiphelezela yena ke uKolonel Mangena uyena ke wazi ukuthi ubani owaxhumana naye uyena wazi ukuthi ubani wayi manager noma ke ephethe isini noma indawo leyo yesigameko.
Yes, I'll take that. Colonel Mangena was his scene, so he was the lead. As Captain Mangena is processing the scene at 13511 Kutlano Street, Mizamo section, Fosloras. During the time you are with him, Colonel Makati, Captain Mangena, was there any other police officer that you can recall that was present as now the ballistics section is in charge of processing the scene? Do you recall any police officer from any unit, not from ballistics, it may be any other unit that was present?
A lot, even if I can't say clearly who the person is, but some from CRC,
yes,
or LCRC, there was somebody, if my memory serves me well. But other police officers, we found police officers on arrival, but as who they are, I cannot tell, my Lord.
Ukhona ke noma ngeke ngisho ukuthi kwakubani yena ke wayebuye LCRC waye lapho noma samfica khona ke lapho kanye futhi ke namanye amaphoyisa aye khona ke ngeke ngiwasho ukuthi noma ukuthi angwazi.
What I know, my Lord, further is that when we go to the scene, there should be somebody who's going to point us where the scene is, my lord. We cannot just go inside the scene.
Kunye futhi engikwaziyo ukuthi uma sesiya kwindawo yesigameko kufanele ukuthi abe khona ke umuntu ozositshengisa ke indawo leyo yesigameko noma ke iscene angeke sifana nje thina sivele nje siyingenele.
Yeah, that I've already said. There must be either an SAPS member uniformed or a senior officer that is in charge of the scene that will take you through the walkthrough, whether he's taking LCRC, CRC, ballistics, DNA, whoever. But the question that I'm relating to, there's an officer who made a statement, Exhibit LL1, an officer ABA Sifularo Montwedi, who testified, who deposed to a sworn statement that he's from Provincial Investigative Unit. At the time he was based there, and then that he attended the scene on the 27th of October 2014, and at some stage when the ballistic unit was busy processing the scene, he says the following, and I quote verbatim: Captain Mangena took exhibit of spent cartridge that was found on the door frame, and I close. That's the quotation. The statement has already been read in record in full. Did you observe that? Do you know this person, or did you see this person, Ebi Sifularo Montwedi?
I don't know the person, my lord.
Angmazi ke lo ofundwayo ke lapho uSifularo Montwedi.
And that which he describes in his statement, or that he mentions in his statement to say he saw Captain Mangena removing a spent cartridge found on the door frame at the scene. Did you see that yourself?
I did not see that, my lord.
Uyasho ukuthi wabona ke uCaptain Mangena esusa ke igobolondo elisetshenzisiwe ke iminyango utha angaze ngikubone lokho noma ngizange ngikubone lokho.
Perhaps you had gone to fetch the measuring tape. Now, let us go to this aspect of your. I'm done now with the scene. I'm not interested whether you attended the post-mortem because you were also an assistant there. That was not your scene, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Now, let us start here. You are approached by Colonel Mangena on the 22nd of July 2020 for an opinion, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
On the 22nd of July 2020, uma ezomcela uvo uKolonel Mangena.
What did he give you in order for you to furnish him with an opinion?
He gave me an exhibit bullet and tests, my lord.
Wanginika ke inhlamvu eyatholakala kanye futhi ke nama test.
And what else?
Those are the things that he gave me, my lord.
Izona lezo into anginikeza zona.
Did he not give you his case file as well?
Those that the exhibit and test, he took them out from the case file, my lord. He was saving the case file.
Lezi ngikhuluma ngazo ngithi anginika zona ke wayikhipha kwi case file kuyena yayikuyena case file.
And at that time he gave you these exhibits, the case file. Had he written on the case file that he had already made a finding?
I did not see that, my lord.
Ingabe wayesebhalile yini ke kuleyo file yakho ukuthi yena ke usetholile noma ke uthe uma ehlola wathola ke lokho akuthola angikubonanga lokho.
The answer is twofold. Either he made it, he did not observe it, or he did not make it.
I did not observe it, my lord.
Okay.
I'll just say that.
Angizange ngikubone lokho ngizosho nje.
Now he gives you test bullets 3 to 10 plus 1 exhibit bullet, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Wanginika ke lama test ke u3 to 10 kanye futhi nenhlamvu ke eyodwa ekuyiyena ke exhibit.
And your testimony is that firstly you then compare 3 exhibits, 3 to 10, intra each other to familiarize yourself with the markings before you conduct a comparison, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
ngishilo ukuthi ngaqala ke ngawo ke ama test lana ke u3 uyofika ke ku10 ukuyijwayeza ke ngama marks lawo ayekhona ngaphambi kokuthi ngiwaqhathanise.
Now, emanating from Mr. Mgomezulu's question, I'm going to exploit further. How long did it take for you, firstly, just to do the comparison between the test fires themselves?
My lord, I cannot specifically say it took me how long, because I was just checking the class characteristics and just to see what kind of marks are there. Yes. So that we must consider that if I'm checking those class characteristics, before I can go and check it against another bullet, I was just verifying that maybe there is another one that doesn't belong to that particular class. So if it doesn't, there's no need for me to put it in for comparison, my lord.
Lana ka ngeke ngisho ukuthi kwakuyisikhathi esingakanani engasithatha uma sengibheka ama test wona wodwa ke okunye futhi kufanele ke kubhekweke lana ukuthi uma ngibheka ke ama test wodwa ngaphambi kokuthi ngiwaqhathanise ukubuka ukuthi ayikho yini engafanele ukuthi ibe lapho yona.
Now that answer is disingenuous. I don't normally tell witnesses that. That answer is disingenuous. Colonel Mangena wouldn't give you exhibits and test fires that do not fit the class, because that will be an elimination from the onset. Therefore, he gave you the right class. In fact, let me pause here. Mr. Jonas, interpret, then I'll give you the background.
No, finish.
Okay. Let me give you the background to this, and I'm not going to delve it in particular whether, but Captain Mangena, firstly, he received 2 test fires, TB1, TB2, that Mr. Ngomezulu asked you about and he said you've never seen. Those 2 test fires were fired in February 2015 by Warrant Officer Rulofse in relation to Cleveland 96 of 2015. That's a case of possession of suspected unlawful firearm. That's the background. Now, upon receipt of the exhibits in this case, he compares those TB1, TB2, and finds that they do not have sufficient marks for him to make a comparison because they are FMJs. And the exhibit bullet in this instance is a CMJ. Then upon being told that a firearm has been found somewhere that may perhaps be linked with this, in Cleveland, he goes and fetches the firearm, and in order to validate his test, he says, I must fire bullets made of the same material as the exhibit bullet to wit CMJs. But he fires 8 tests. 2 FMJs from PNP or PNP, 2 6-hour, 2 ANG, and the others he said he forgot at the time he testified. They are not noted on his worksheet, so they remain of undeterminate manufacture. That's the background to this test that you were given. So you were not given TB1 and TB2 that were fired by Rulofse. But as to the class, when I say you are disingenuous, all of them are 9mm because the alleged firearm is capable of firing 9mm. So the class characteristics are already there. Right? Now let me take it from there. The reason I'm asking you how long it took for you to compare the test fires amongst themselves and to compare the exhibit bullet with all the test fires is the following. Colonel Mangena has testified in this court to say This was a tedious job to do, a comparison. Eyes become tired, he will compare some. When the eyes get tired because he doesn't want to make mistakes, he'll pack his work and resume tomorrow or whenever his eyes have been refreshed. You, Fesser Felun Krobla, in a space of, I don't know how many because you can't determine the time that you took, but the three of you, within one day, that took Colonel Mangena, the seasoned Colonel Mangena, a bit of time to go through and compare to make his conclusions correct, according to him, not according to us, according to him. It took you say how long?
I've never mentioned time, my lord.
Exactly.
Angazeke ngisisho isikhathi ukuthi ke kwangithatha isikhathi esingakanani mina ukuthi ke ngikwenze lokho.
And I don't know the sequence of the opinions that he sought. Were you the first one? Was it Fesser? Was it Krobla, Felyun? I don't know. But within how the day of the 22nd, all three of you had already rendered an opinion to Colonel Mangena, irrespective of whether you knew or not that he approached two other people, right? On the 22nd, you rendered an opinion to Colonel Mangena on this exhibit. Correct?
I'm listening, my lord.
I'm saying correct.
That is correct.
Kuyiqiniso nge-22 July 2020 ilanga lelo nganikeza ngalo uKolonel Mangena uvo.
Captain Krobla has testified in this court that also herself on that day she rendered an opinion on these findings to Colonel Mangena. So that's undisputed. She's already testified in this court about that. That one I'm telling you is a fact, right?
I'm listening, my lord.
Ngiyakuzwa ke uma uthi uKolonel Krobla naye so Captain Krobla wanikeza naye ngovo ngalelo langa lelo.
The third person, we are told they are incapacitated. So, but be that as it may, they also rendered an opinion to Colonel Mangena on the same day. That's what we've been told by the state. Right. So, hence my insistence that sometimes things like diaries, note-taking, because we are not there at the time you do these things. They come to us later on in trial matters. The court needs to come to the bottom of this matter. You understand? Now, you say you employ the pattern matching method in order to arrive at your decision that there's either one of the four. There's an inclusion, there's an elimination, there's an inconclusive, and fourthly, there's a not suitable for comparison, that is a damage, either bullet case, cartridge case, or a projectile, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Ngishilo ukuthi ke ubheka ke nokuthola uma ufikele ke kwisinqumo ke sebenzisa yona ke lo hlelo okubizwa ukuthi ke i-pattern matching.
And that pattern matching, you apply it because it's under the auspices of the AFTI, that is the International Association for Firemarks and Examiners and Tool Marks Examiners internationally, right?
That is correct, my lord.
Sebenzisa yona ke ngoba yona ke engaphansi ke valentela noma lo hlelo elibizwa ngokuthi ke i-AFTI.
Now, I want to break down this pattern matching. I've tried to do it with your colleagues, but it's somewhere I get jaded along the route as they explain. You employ pattern matching, one, to evaluate first the class characteristics of both the known and unknown samples. Will I be correct? Because now here I'm asking you, I'm not giving you my opinion, I'm not a ballistic person. Should I repeat it again?
You can repeat it again.
You employ pattern matching. Firstly, you do it for two reasons, and the first one that I'm giving you is this one. You use it to evaluate the class characteristics of the known and the unknown samples, right?
That is correct.
lana ke ukubheka ke ama characteristics lana ke alama sample azwayo nala futhi angaziwa.
And then if the class characteristics do not match, for example, if the samples have different numbers, say for example a firearm, as you gave the example of Captain Krobler, if the lengths and grooves and the rifling is different, say for example the lengths and grooves on your specimen are 6 and the rifling is the right twist, and on your test it's 5 and the twist is left, immediately say no, this is not the class that we are looking for because they are different, right?
That is correct, my lord.
Nokuthi ke uma usubheka utholeke ukuthi kunomehluko ekhona ke namaglozi ngokwe number ke yalapho ila usho khona ukuthi cha lokhu ke akusiyona ke into eyodwa noma kuhlukile.
Now if however the class characteristics match, now that's where you kick in as an examiner, right? You now take the samples, the exhibit bullet or cartridge case, and the test fires, you take them now to examine and compare them under the so-called comparison microscope, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Kodwa kuma usuthola ke ukuthi ke kuyahlangana ila usuthatha khona ke manje usuzoyezibheka kuyona ke i-microscope la esiqhathanisa khona.
And at that stage, you use the pattern matching to determine one, if any marks are subclass or individual characteristics, right?
That is correct, my lord.
Ila manje usubheka khona ke ukuthi lama marks ke ilama marks ke ama ahlangeneke noma ayihambela ngawodwa.
And secondly, you also look at the level of correspondence between the marks on the specimens, on the exhibit bullet, as in our case, and the test fires, correct?
That is correct, my
Ila
lord.
usubheka khona ke manje ke ukuthi ke futhi ke ne level noma izinga ke la ukuhlangana khona phakathi kwayo ke inhlamvu le exhibit kanye futhi nama test.
And having done that, then you will, having compared, you then come to the last stage, which is now to make a conclusion, and those conclusions I've already set them out with you. They are in accordance with the AFT range of conclusions, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Suqedile ke lapho ila ke manje uya ke manje emaphethelweni ke ukuthi ke utholeni.
And according to what you use as your guide, as your radar, the AFT theory of identification, it says you can only make a positive identification when there is a sufficient agreement, right, between the two samples, the exhibit bullet and the test fires, to come to a determination that this firearm fired this bullet, the source of origin, correct?
You are correct, my lord.
Ila usuthola khona ke manje ukuthi ke kunokuvumelana okwaneleke ukuthi ngempela ke lenhlamvu ke ekuyiyona iyatholakala kwindawo yesigameko kanye nalezi ezisetshenziswa njengama test ukuthi ke kubuya kwisibhamu esisodwa.
Now, I'm not going to ask you about what sufficient agreement is. You've covered it with my learned colleague, Advocate Sibanda. And I'm not going to ask you about the best agreement. My point is to come to, and you've already said you did not make notes, right? When you did the comparison between the exhibit bullet in this case and the test fires that were provided by Colonel Mangena, right?
That is correct, my lord.
Now of TB3 to TB10, which ones, let me give you imaginary within those. Imaginary TB1, TB3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which one had the best profile of marks that you compared and came to an identification that is a positive match?
My lord, as I've explained that I did not record anything. I cannot recall which one it was, my lord. Because I've stated that I did not record anything and I even got a name. So I did not record anything and I cannot recall which one.
Bengishilo ke ngaphambilini ukuthi ke umbuzo ke othi yipi ke kula test ke okwaba yona ke othola ke ama marks wona ke ongathi wasebenzisa ukuphathanisa ngishilo ngathi ke angibhalanga lutho phansi.
Now, without notes, recordals, worksheets, without charts, we don't know the marks that you saw because we have procured an expert, and whatever yourself, Colonel Mangena, Fesser, Captain Hrobla said you saw, we were keen to hand them up to our expert and said, for example, Captain Mangena said he compared the exhibit bullet with TB5 and TB9 to make his identification. Colonel Serrao compared the exhibit bullet with TB4, TB8 to come to an inclusion. And further, Serrao expanded his testimony to say between TB4 and TB8, the best profile marks that he saw were on TB8 compared to TB4, and TB8 is an FMJ. So that sort of information directs us to instruct our expert properly to assist us to come to some sort of evaluation of the ballistic evidence. But without those notes, all we have is what you say now. They understand, there's nothing else, correct?
My lord, as explained previously that Colonel Serrao, after his verification, wrote down. So he will use that pro forma to refresh his memory. Colonel Mangena also wrote his pro forma as well. So they will use that to refresh their memory. With an opinion, we did not write. We don't write when we are giving an opinion.
Bese ngishilo ke ukuthi ke uKolonel Serrao uzobhala phansi ke kunala abhala phansi khona ke ila akwazi ukuthatha kona ke lokho abheke ukuthi wabhalani. uKolonel Mangena naye ke uzokwenza lokho ubhala phansi ke ila athatha khona abheke. Kodwa kuthina ke abanikeza ngovo akukho esikubhala phansi.
In fact, you said an opinion is an informal process. So your testimony here is also an informal process.
I cannot comment on that, my lord.
Now, having given that opinion, you took it to Colonel Mangena. Did you know at the time the nature of the case for which you were providing the opinion?
When I was providing that opinion, I did not know, my lord.
Ngesikhathi enganginikeza ngovo ngaso ngangingazi ukuthi yiliphi icala noma icala ekanjani ke lelo enginikeza uvo kulona.
When did you learn that this was the so-called Senzo Meyiwa murder case?
He told me after I've done the microscopic opinion, my lord.
Wasengitshela kamuva ke sengikwenzile ke uqhathanisa lokho kuyona imicroscope ukuthi lona ke icala lika Senzo.
That will be on the 22nd of July 2020.
I should think, yes, my lord, it was on that day.
Yebo
Same day.
kwangalo langa lelo ke langa 22 July 2020.
So for you, the wheel had come full circle. You'd attended the scene. Now you are giving an opinion on the bullet from that particular scene. You see that? The wheel has come full circle. For you.
I don't understand the meaning of this, my lord.
It's English, it's fine. Now, you mentioned, I believe in your evidence in chief, that Colonel Mangena, besides being one of your superiors, and superiors I mean at work, he was also your mentor, correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Ngishilo ke ukuthi ke uKolonel Mangena ke wakuyena ke owaye ngibonisa ke bekonga ukuthiwa phecelezi ke imentor emsebenzini.
Now, in this instance, the mentor says to the mentee, have a look here. Give me your 2 cents worth on these findings. And lo and behold, the mentee comes with the same conclusions and findings that the mentor had arrived at.
My Lord, I can be a mentee, but I'm qualified.
Lana ke lona ekuyena ke obonisayo ke noma ke ofundisayo uza ke kulona ke amfundisayo ukuthi ke awumbhekele lana ke usho ke wena ukuthi olwakho ukuthini kodwa ke mase ubuya ke wena ke ofundiswayo kulo okufundisayo uthi imiphumela ke iyafana. Yebo ngingawuyena ke lo oqeqeshwayo noma ke oboniswayo ofundiswayo kodwa ke nami ngiseqophelweni lokuthi ke umsebenzi ngingawenza.
And lastly, on this aspect, it says you arrive the theory of identification. An examiner arrives at a conclusion based on scientific principles, their experience and judgment, correct?
That is correct, man.
And there's a provision to that which says that arrival using those, the scientific principles, the experience and the knowledge is subjective, right?
That is correct, my Lord.
Futhi ke lo msebenzi ke noma ke lokho ofinyelela kona ke kuyinto ke esingabheka noma engabukwa.
Now, the interpretation of those marks and striations between the exhibit bullet and test fires 3 to 10. According to that last principle of identification, which says it's subjective, another examiner may look at the same samples and arrive at the different conclusions based on the AFTI third principle, correct?
That is correct. It will depend on his level of expertise and experience, skills and training, my Lord.
Lokho kuthi ke omunye ke ucwaningi usengabheka ke lokho afinyeleleke kokuhlukile kunalokho uthi yebo kuyiqiniso kuya ngokuthi ke ulwazi lwakhe ke analo noma ke useqophelweni yini ukumayela nomsebenzi lowo.
On that aspect, like I told you, we've retained Mr. Dave Peterson. Do you know him?
If he's the one that he once worked at ballistics, then I know him.
Uma Dave Peterson kulona ke wake wasebenza ballistics ngiyamazi.
He's the same one. We've retained him to assist us regarding ballistics in this matter. He came to court and an order was made by the court that he must have access to the ballistic material and samples that you had, including exhibit TB1, TB2 that you did not have access to. And then him, Colonel Gininda, Brigadier Gininda, the investigating officer in this case, and Colonel Mangena attended at the forensic hub, which is Mr. Peterson's business, for him to do what you did, go through microscopic work in his office, and then finish us with an opinion. And the opinion that he has arrived at, and it's based on your last answer to say, based on another examiner's knowledge, skill, scientific principles, he can arrive at a different conclusion. And indeed, he arrived at a different conclusion to say, this is an inconclusive finding, because what he found was the following. There were discernible class characteristics that he found. He does not quiver or argue with that. But he says the individual marks that he saw were insufficient for him to make it inconclusive. Therefore, he cannot say either or the firearm in question in this case fired the exhibit bullet in this case. Do you want to comment on that?
No comment on that one, my Lord.
Akukho engakusho uma uthi ke yena ke uDave Peterson wathola ke ngokwahlukileke lokho sakuthola ke ngoba yena ke esithi ke kwakunganele nokuthi ke ama marks ke yena ke ababona ke aye nganele manje ke isibhamu lesi kukhulunywa ngaso akusona ke esadubula ke akukho engakusho la.
My Lord, thank you. I'm indebted to the court.
Yes, sir.
Those are the questions that I have for the witness.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
As it is As it is the court, my lord, I realize that we only 20 minutes towards the longish break, but I would have indicated, my lord, and this is from the solitude of my conscience, that it will be no harm to request that, owing to the fact that today is the last day of the sitting of the season, we probably park the bus now, because in any event, if I were to start to cross-examine Mr. Ntini, we'll definitely will go beyond the 3 o'clock, and then we'll have to pen my cross-examination and then come back again almost after 2 weeks, which I think, in all fairness, would not be good in the interest of administration of justice for me to do that to him. So I would suggest that when I start to cross-examine him, or when me and him start to engage, because I normally don't use I don't like to use the term cross-examination, it's engagement. When me and him engages, my lord, I think we need to have time to ourselves. Then if we're not done on the 7th, then we continue on the 8th, which would still be within a short space of time. But for today, my lord, I think I'm not so sure if there's an objection from the state and from my other colleagues as well, and from the other colleagues that are manning the machines and everything, the interpreter, Mr. Jonas, and the court orderlies, my lord, that if we take an adjournment for a day and then we come back on the 7th again, with a fresh mind, of course. Thank you, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Louis. Bannon.
My lord, we are in the hands of the defense at this stage. We really wanted to make some progress with this witness, my lord.
What does that mean?
My lord, it's 12:43, and then from 2 to 3:30, we have almost 2 hours of cross-examination. Surely we can make progress with this witness, and then when he returns on the 7th, then Advocate Nomalo can take over and Advocate Msholo and wrap up the evidence of this witness, my lord.
Mr. Minister says he won't be finished today.
Then we'll finish on the 7th. Then Nomalo can proceed on the 7th, my lord. Advocate Nomalo, my apologies for that.
Yes, Mr. Nomalo.
I find it difficult, my lord, to proceed without my colleague Advocate Nesi having commenced his cross-examination.
If he commences, you'll be able to proceed.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Meyiwa, what's your view?
My lord, I accede to the request by Advocate Nesi.
Okay. All right. Will you be still available, sir?
I will avail myself, my lord.
You will avail yourself.
That is correct, my lord.
Okay, maybe just postpone it, because people say they won't finish. There's just one period so that you guys can attend to it. The evidence of rule officer has been truncated by everybody here. Are you aware of it, Mr. Malui? You are not aware?
Well, in which sense, my lord?
Hello?
Truncated?
Yes, truncated is English.
In which sense, my lord? It may wait.
Have you dealt with it?
Yes, he came here.
You have dealt with it, fine.
Yes, he came here and he testified.
Okay, I hope everybody else has dealt with it. Because if I recall rule officer's evidence, he says he fired about 9 + 5 shots at one stage. You remember that, Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Ramsey?
Indeed,
We don't remember.
For the other case.
I don't remember.
Yes. No,
And then he got 9 positives.
yes.
Okay.
In fact, Advocate Nisi did ask him on those findings.
Okay, fine. You heard me.
Yes.
postpone to the, what's the date?
The 7th of October.
Yeah, the 7th.
November 7th of October.